On today's podcast, I have Kim Mensh Weinberg. Kim is an executive coach, facilitator, and organizational consultant with over 2 decades of experience helping leaders and teams grow through conscious awareness and action. She combines candor, compassion, and goal-driven motivation to help clients navigate change and strengthen leadership agility. A top-rated YPO certified forum facilitator and Georgetown and UVA faculty member, Kim is known for creating transformative learning experiences that inspire growth and authenticity. Welcome to the pod, Kim.
Dan, appreciate it. Great to be here.
So your middle name, um, your middle name, your maiden name is Mensch. What's it like living with such a strong maiden name?
It's actually a badge of honor and one that I feel like I have to live up to. It was actually a tough one to give up when I got married. So I moved it into the middle slot and still hold on to it. But it really, like, I actually wanted to call my business Mensch Consulting at one point, but
I love
but kind of missed the boat on that. And for a number of reasons, it just was like, wasn't going to do a identity change halfway through my career. So,
it.
but
Right.
yeah,
Just
power.
for those who don't know what Mensch means, it means like a gentleman in Yiddish. It means somebody who's like a righteous person, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, like a truly good person. And
Yeah.
so I hang that as a value that I try to live up to every day.
So how did you, we talked about your age before in the green room, and if I do your age minus 20, I still get 20 years of of professional, professional life. So how did you get into facilitation and this kind of line of work?
I mean, if you're already outing me on like these math and subtraction, I've been in this field for over 30 years. So let's just
Okay.
kind of call it what it is. What's crazy about it, Don, is I actually grew up in this field. So when I was in college, there was no major in what I wanted to do. And I went to my
Mm.
advisor and said, this is what I want to do. And he's like, make me a proposal. So we created a major called Communication Psychology and Organizations. And I always focused on small group dynamics, one-on-one relationships, and just my whole career has been following in that path of organization development, strategic planning, mostly working with executive teams and their roundtables.
I think the term today is organizational behavior or organizational consulting, IO psychology, industrial organizational
Organization development,
psychology.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or development. Um, so tell us about the style that you bring to teams. One of the things that struck me when we spoke is you have a unique style where we kind of help a team, raise their self-awareness or the consciousness level. How does that manifest when you show up into a room? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So, as we've talked about and you read in my bio, it's like I have this balance of candor and compassion, or courage and compassion, which are core values of mine. The thing that is interesting about the work I do is as a coach, you're not supposed to overlay any of your own story on anyone else because everyone's story is unique.
Totally.
And so it's a much more subtle approach. As a facilitator in the space that I facilitate, my role more there is to put skin in the game with my clients when I'm working in forums and emotional domain work, not when I'm facilitating like strategic planning events. So the difference is I bring both to both. So when I'm coaching, I'm going to be direct and put skin in the game if you want it. When I'm facilitating, I can sit back and hold the space for you and let you do your own discovery while I'm also putting skin in the game. So I think it's a unique balance that there's not the same skill set for both.
So you just mentioned strategic planning sessions, and I want to come to that in a second. But one of the things that makes I think about when you talk about everybody's situation is different. I like to say everyone's trauma is at a maximum. We just don't know what it is because whatever you experience and whatever I experience, we haven't experienced anything else. So we know we have a level 10 pain that is somebody else's like level 5, but it's our level 10.
That's right. And for sure, like even like two thoughts around that. One is, I always live with the expression or the ethos of be kind to everyone because everyone's fighting their own battle. And
Mm.
then there's also that piece of, and this is a little bit of neuroscience that I know enough to be dangerous and not like completely fluent, but that our nervous system doesn't know good trauma from bad trauma or small trauma from little trauma. It has nothing to compare or contrast to. And so we have to treat everyone and hold that space gently with everyone, as well as push and lean safely and courageously where we can.
So I have a feeling that you handle jerks quite well. Um, and how do you deal with a jerk who's not kind of willing to budge on this soft stuff?
So there's a couple different angles. Like there's the Kim non-professional version that can come out, which is, all right, I'll meet you where you are. And, fire breeds fire, compassion breeds compassion, sarcasm breeds sarcasm. So I can play in that arena. But then there is the having the conscious awareness of what is it that they are really needing right now? What part of them, their inner child, their wounded self is showing up that might need a little nurturing and tending to. So it's really having a pulse check on where they are and what they need in that moment. And how do I hold that space for myself too and not get triggered by it?
Right. One of my tricks is when I look at somebody and I really don't want to talk to them, I just imagine how much I love them. Um, so I look at the bridge of their nose, and because that looks like I'm looking at them, and then I think I have so much compassion and so much love for this person, and they're just like trying their hardest right now, no matter what the situation is, and I find that automatically elevates the way I'm showing up in that conversation.
Love that. Love that. What a great hack.
Yeah, yeah, it works. So you're a woman, and what is it like showing up as a woman in executive teams that are male dominated or forums that are male dominated? I believe we talked about my sexism when it comes to creating forums, and how I believe they should be single gender, but let's talk about, and we can touch on that because I think we probably disagree. Um, but what's it like being a woman in a field where oftentimes you are mostly around men?
Yeah, and I'll add an even more complex layer to that is that I am like 5 foot nothing. And so I have to have really big presence no matter what, right? Because look what I'm going up against. So from the female perspective, I personally feel like I have to be able to play in an androgynous type of way. I have to be able, I don't know if that's the right word for it. I have to be able to wear my big boy pants and I have to be able to wear my skirt. And I know that sounds kind of, I don't know, stereotypical, like that's probably not going to go over well in the woke world, but it's a conscious awareness of it's almost like sales in the way. It's like you need to know who your client is. You need to know what their pain points are, or what they need from you. And it's about building a trust and rapport. So if I come in and I'm not matching the energy of my client, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose them. I'm going to not gain trust. We're going to struggle in relationship. And I'm going to be backpedaling the whole time trying to build a relationship with these people. If I can match them with their energy, but also set the tone for what I want, that is a very nuanced dance that I have to navigate. So if I'm going into an all male forum and I know that they don't want me there because they want to scratch an itch and do whatever they want to do and talk, use whatever language and call it, as my family calls it, be on football island and do whatever they want to do,
Locker room
then
talk.
locker room talk. Yes. Then, I mean, look, I can do it, but is it also building credibility, or are they challenging me to see, like there's a reason behind them wanting what they want. And so can I tap into what that is and meet them where they are, but also take them where I want to take them?
Got it. Um, so net, do you think that men or mostly men teams gain from a woman facilitator more than they might?
100%.
Yeah, same sex.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that happens a lot when I'm going into all male executive teams or forums or whatever the locker room group is somehow I become the voice of all of my species. And so I need to represent all women, which isn't a fair position to be in, but I also can feed line to it and give some perspective. and to challenge in a way where like I need to challenge like a man about being a woman.
Mm.
So when we're talking about that in particular.
So I want to return back to strategic planning sessions, and that's like such a, and like a like a loaded term a little bit, but basically it's like, what are we going to do kind of conversation. How do you show up to that? Because you have no idea what the fuck the company is doing most of the time, or you don't know the industry or whatever. Like, how do you show up to a strategic planning session? Is it like the same framework every time where it's completely agnostic to who you're working with?
No, and I would say I'd broaden the scope. It's not just strategic planning. Usually I'm brought in to fix teams. And that
Okay.
usually, so that
Because they
happens.
can't get their strategy without you. So they're kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, one of my good colleagues, Vern Harnish, I don't know if you know him, who
of
was the
course. Yeah.
growth guy. So he has this
Or I
framework,
wrote the scale up, I think, or something like
scaling
that. Or,
up and
yeah, yeah,
Rockefeller
yeah.
habits, and
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
and he has this philosophy too. It's like we can't do that one-page strategic plan until you get your house of cards in line. And so sometimes I will be going into groups, and that's what I do first, and then I may even hand it off to someone for strategic planning. So the secret sauce for me around that is what happens before we get in the room. I immerse with every client, whether I'm doing interviews with them, whether I'm doing surveys, whether I'm reading their financials, whether I'm watching them in a team meeting. I am gathering data, and it's like kind of that 90% perspiration for the 10% inspiration. It's 90% preparation for the 1%, 10% facilitation. And so I know what I'm walking into. And I actually just used this analogy with someone today. It's like, if you've ever gone to a doctor that's a specialist, that, you're ready to tell them the whole story of like, this is like every nuance of every
Oh, yeah.
symptom and
Me and my
everything, right?
psychiatrist, I'm like, dude, I have a learning disability and I'm on the spectrum. And he's like, okay, let's just chill. You have Dan
Yeah.
Berger syndrome. And it's like all these things. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, and when I'll go into a specialist and I'm like ready to tell my whole story, and then they ask me like two questions, and then boom, they've nailed it. Like, I kind of feel like that's where I've arrived in my facilitation now. It's like when I go into a forum and everyone thinks they're unique, and they are, but I can go into a forum anywhere in the world, and with like probably 90% accuracy, I'm going to know how they run their meetings. It's that 10% I don't know their culture that I try to diagnose as much as I can before I get in the room. And then I do it with them once I'm in the room, because there's no sense in me gathering all the information and being the keeper of it. I need to give it back to them, because if we're going to heal, if we're going to work, if we're going to evolve, you need to see your own house of cards. You need to see your own elephants in the room. And so that's what I see as my job is, let's just start from that baseline, and then let's get in and do the real work.
Quick pause for the editors. Your connections is a little choppy. Is that something you think you can address? Maybe like close a browser, or maybe you know, if you're on a laptop, maybe move to a different location. Um, it's just pretty grainy.
Okay, let me shut down my Outlook and this here. Sorry about that. Let's see if this helps. A lot of things open. Let me close this browser. I hope it doesn't close you out. No, it's going to shut me out of this browser here. So let me, is that any better?
I hope so. Well, it's okay because it probably looks better anyway on the recording. So I'm not too worried
Okay.
about it. And we're on all the channels. And anyway, um, let's keep going. Um, so you just mentioned the elephant in the room. One of my favorite kind of diagnoses for a team is what I've learned is called terminal politeness, where everybody's scared to say what what's actually on their mind. How do you what framework do you introduce to address things like that, whether whatever we diagnose the problem with the team is? What are some of your favorite frameworks to bring? Because you have so many certificates. I mean, our facilitator directory has like 30 somewhere people in there, and I think you're the most decorated. If you were a general and you're in the facilitator army, you would have more, ribbons and medals than anybody else. So how do you even decide what to bring to the table?
Well, I have my top 10 favorite tools that I use, and they're not necessarily certifications.
Okay.
So, So I'll say that piece, and I do have. I'll share one of my secret sauces that I have here. That I literally bring an elephant into the room, not a real one, but I do. I bring it,
Ah,
but I do. I even have a life size one, a
I love
Kim
that.
life size one, not elephant life
Yeah,
size
yeah.
one,
Right, right, right.
and
Asian
I bring
elephant. It's
yes.
smaller, the smaller species.
Well, it's a stuffed animal that I won at an amusement park once for the sake that I had to have it. So I will take it into the room and I'll say, let's talk about these. What are they? And so, and this is something more out of my master's in organization development than it is one of my certifications, is that there are explicit norms that every group has, right?
Yes.
That is, we start our meetings on time, we end them on time, we meet 10 times a year, we have weekly staff meetings, we have quarterly development exercises for whatever. Those are the explicit norms. The implicit norms are how we doing? What are the habits or behaviors that make me uniquely me or us? And so we say we start our meetings on time, but we really start them 10 minutes late. Or we say we're going to have quarterly development meetings, but they really turn into operational meeting sessions instead. And so that's how I help them pull out their own nuances of what makes them uniquely them. And then we get into talking about them. And inevitably, I have a good list of here's the things that are working well for you, and here are the things that aren't working so well. Let's focus on these.
Um, Other frameworks you're willing to share that you bring, whether yours or somebody else's. I love a good framework. So, you know, you got a whiteboard. What are you putting on it?
Um, I believe it or not, and I know it's old and older than me, maybe even, is the Johari window. Just getting people to look at who they are and how they're showing up,
Mm.
and the
And
inter
that's
and
the known
intra.
unknown about yourself.
Yeah, the unknown and unknown about self.
Right.
Now, my main go-to tool is not one of my certifications, but it's born out of every certification that I've done, and that is my clear communication model.
What's that?
So that is how to have courageous and compassionate conversations with people.
Mm.
And it is based on, so it takes imago therapy, crucial conversations, radical candor, nonviolent communication. It takes all of those awesome models,
Mm.
and I took the best of them and created my own. Oh, and it
Love it.
also takes Tara Brach's RAIN model, which is recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. Because my belief is
Oh, she's a
before we can,
mindfulness person, isn't she?
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So for me, before I can clear with anyone else, if I had an issue with you, Don, before I could even clear with you, I need to be clear with myself.
Mm.
And to be clear with myself, I need to go through an acronym that I have called CLEAR. First, I need to connect to my own awareness to know I'm even having a reaction, because you might say something and I might be like, and then just walk away. And then later I'll be like, wait, dude, that didn't land well. Right. So the first is connecting to my own awareness, listening to the signals that my body is giving me, because our body is the first point of contact when something's off center.
That's somatic experience.
Somatic experience, and then explore what that means. And now there's three truths here. There's the truth, right? If we did the instant replay, there's my truth, which is the stories I make up. And then there's your truth. So if I walked in your shoes, what would you be thinking? And then so that's clear. The clear is connect, listen, explore, accept, and respond. So the accept piece is, okay, this is real, this is going on, and this belongs. And so now what? What am I going to do with this? Do I need to forgive myself? Do I need to forgive you? Do I need to work through this? And then I go on to respond. And the respond might be, I'm just going to nurture myself through this. This has nothing to do with Don and what he did. It's all my childhood stuff or whatever. Or I am going to respond to you and we're going to have a clearing. And if you take nothing else away from that, so that's clearing with yourself. The clearing with the others is three questions. What matters? What happened? And what's next? And so what matters is a values-based question. What matters is our relationship. What matters is that we meet our customer demands. What matters is that we close this deal. That's what matters. Now, what happened is when you get into the facts, right? The instant replay, the stories I make up, my truth, my feelings around this, also my truth, and my responsibility in this, which is probably about your truth. So what matters, what happened, and then what's next is what do I want to have happen? What is next to happen here? Do I need to make a request of you to change behavior? Am I advocating for something? Am I offering to do something for you? And it's more about connection than it is about correction. And that is like the sweet spot of all the work that I do. And the book coming out hopefully in
Hell
the
yeah.
next couple months.
Hell yeah. What's the name of the book?
Be clear.
Be clear.
Be
Um,
clear.
so it's, I don't know, like it's the whole conversation around, can people actually change? Can they not? Like, like how do I bring up feedback in a way like how it landed on me as opposed to like how it landed, um, uh, well, not as opposed, but uh, how it landed on me, how it made me feel. I mean, it's the same shit we do with our partners at home, or ideally do it. Um, so many times people don't do the clear part and then they just jump to like the issue clearing. Ironically, the word clearing is in both here. Perhaps it's on purpose, but if we're trying to issue clear, so many times I've jumped to like the R, the respond, without doing the cle.
Well, and just hearing the way you said that, right? So you said, I have an issue to clear. That's going to hijack your amygdala right away and send cortisol running through your body and go like, whoa, survival mode, fight or flight. What am I doing here? Right. But if you said, can I have a permission to just clear a reaction I had to something or just share about something that came up for me? I'm going for connection. I'm not going for correction.
Mm.
Issues clearing is an instant, like, yeah, you're coming at me to correct something.
But
Something's
but
wrong.
but so many CEOs are going to be like, I don't have time for that. I don't mean I'm just going to be like, hey, listen, you were a dick, and like, you know, like let's move on because I need you to change. And
So
by
I'm
the
going to
way,
be more,
yeah,
yeah,
go
so I'm
ahead.
going to be more fluent with you and be like, Don, like, all right, I get it. We don't have time, but what's most important here? Is it you running off to your next meeting or is it making sure that we meet our customers' needs? So I've just
Yeah,
gotten to what matters, right? I've already started into the conversation. And then what happens, like, all right, you don't want to talk about what happened, but let's talk about like the impact it's having on my client right now. The story I'm making up is that they're going to drop our account. And
mm,
so if you want to go that direction, my preference, what's next, is we figure this out sooner than later and let's fix it now rather than later and
right.
keep this account.
My favorite question to my wife is whenever we're having an argument about, the truth and what happened. It's like I think the question should be, okay, well, what do we do next time? As
Absolutely.
opposed to like, let's rehash the past. Because yeah, I was an, asshole, and like I'm sorry, and I can go through that all day, but the change of behavior is what you'd expect, and that's what I want to address.
That's right.
Um, let's talk about, so just out of curiosity, do you bring the clear model to a group? It sounds like you do. And I remember I went through I had a forum, I had an issue clearing session with another guy. Um, doesn't matter what happened, but I thought that was a really good experience where each person kind of goes through the facts. I don't remember what else happened, but just each person going through the facts according to their reality was, eye-opening. And then perhaps jumping to the feelings that happen. Um, and like at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all bring our traumas to work, even though we try not to. And there is a fine line between trying to fix somebody at work and um, telling them they have this like character defect.
Well, there's three. This is from, gosh, I can't remember. It's a book called Thanks for the Feedback. And there's three core truth triggers that I talk about all the time. One is the truth trigger, whether it's like, if I don't believe it's true, I'm going nuclear on you. The
Mm,
second is the character trigger, where it's just like you're attacking my character. Like you're calling me
mm,
controlling. Like, dude, like we're going on the mat, right? So
mm,
that's just you're pressing the button intentionally at that point. And then the third is the relational trigger. And the relational trigger is it doesn't matter what's coming out of your mouth, Don, it's coming from you. Like with
mm,
my kids and my husband, like I get this much bandwidth to get it right because that's my role, right? And so that's a relational trigger and it doesn't matter what I'm saying, it's how I say it or who is
mm.
saying it.
Um, looking to wrap up here, let's give some advice to people who are thinking about entering the facilitation space. Given all the experience you have, we've now said it's not 20, it's 30 years. And given all the the certifications and your teachings and your resources, where do you suggest people who are trying to get into this field start?
Oh, this is an easy one. So if you're new to the field of facilitation and really want to learn and grow, come take our University of Virginia certificate
UVA.
in facilitation. It is an awesome program. We were running it at Georgetown for 16 cohorts. Now we're at UVA, and it's 3 days in person. Then there's a set of virtual modules, so you get practice with virtual facilitation also and design thinking. And then there's a three-day capstone at the end, and it just covers everything. It's for beginners, it's for intermediates, it's for people trying to up and level up their advanced facilitation skills. So that's one that I would say is like if you want an in-person.
I must ask, how much does it cost?
It's 7,000 for the whole program.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable for somebody wanting to
Yeah,
invest in their professional development. Um,
yeah.
well, very good. This has been awesome. I've learned a ton myself, and now I'm going back to this issue I had with a colleague this morning. I'm like, God, I fucked that up. Um,
Yeah, but you want to be clear. You don't want to call it an issue. We're about building
yeah,
connection.
that's yeah. There's a story I tell myself where I'm like, that doesn't matter because I don't see a future with this person. And
Oh, well,
then I
that's
can just,
another reason.
yeah, exactly. But yes, I want to be clear. I don't want to bring up an issue. So, what a wonderful way to end. Thank you so much, Kim. That was a great conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Don. Great to talk.